It's official. David Taylor is wrestling at the World Team Trials this weekend, 92 kilograms. And it's something that we've been talking about. I've been discussing this a little bit on my show, FloWrestling Radio Live. Will David enter? Won't he enter? Why would he enter? Because if you remember back in May when he was hired, he mentioned, hey, my competitive career is done. So you may be a little confused to hear that David's entering. So why would David enter? And I honestly think the moment I heard it, I thought it was a really smart move. I thought it made a lot of sense. And, you know, selfishly, I'm just a wrestling fan, and the opportunity to say, hey, I get to watch David Taylor wrestle again, obviously that gets me excited as well. But when you think about for him and the opportunity here, you make the team in late September, you wrestle in the Worlds in October, and then boom, it's over. And theoretically, then that would probably sunset his career. That's my guess. So it's a quick turnaround for David. And the idea of ending his career on different terms, I think, is really, you know, that has to be so enticing for David, because, you know, to lose your last two matches has to be a pretty tough pill to swallow when your career has been all about winning. You're one of the greatest American wrestlers of all time. You're one of the greatest college coaches of all time. And now you can go out maybe in some different circumstances. And I think he looks at this 92 kilogram field and thinks, you know, I was thinking about going 92 anyways. And people forget that back in April, that was sort of the speculation. He was going to make the team at 86, win the Olympics, and then go 92 for the next couple of years. Well, things changed, and then, you know, he didn't end up making the team. But now he's up at 92. Maybe a little less of a weight cut can help him. And one thing that this signals to me, David Taylor is not entering this tournament if he isn't feeling 100% like he is absolutely locked in, focused. So I don't know if he's been reinvigorated since he got to Stillwater. I think that's entirely possible, that he has a newfound, maybe not a newfound love, but newfound focus and drive. And once he started feeling really good, he probably felt like, hey, I can make this team. I can beat Zahid Valencia again. Zahid, of course, sitting out to the best 2 out of 3 finals. But then you also consider a lot of chatter about Russia. Who's Russia going to send? And Sadulaev put it out there. Hey, I want to wrestle. I want to wrestle at Worlds. Why not? And imagine the scenario if David makes his team. And that's an if right now. That is an if. But if he makes his team, he has the opportunity to beat Sadulaev, to be one of, you know, 2 Americans to do it. And maybe that's how he goes out and ends his career. A potential storybook ending for David Taylor with the opportunity to wrestle Sadulaev. This is a match he's been wanting for a long time. He wanted it back in 2020. He's been calling for this match. He wanted to wrestle Abdul Rashid Sadulaev, a guy that's won multiple world and Olympic titles, a 2-time Olympic champion, I think a 7-time world champion, something crazy. Sadulaev, truly one of the greatest wrestlers to ever live. And now David Taylor, that opportunity has to be a temptation as well. Man, I could actually make another team and wrestle Sadulaev. Some wrestlers would shy away from that. I think that gets David all the more excited about the opportunity. And if you think about from a coaching perspective, you may say, oh, well, it's a little weird, right? He's supposed to be a coach and now he's competing. But think about what Penn State has. You can't turn 360 degrees in the Penn State room and not see an Olympic champion. You think about, let's go back just 6 months ago. If you're a young wrestler, it's like, you look over here, it's Cael Sanderson, Olympic champion. There's Kyle Snyder. There's David Taylor. There's Zane Rutherford, a world champion. There's Jake Varner. I mean, everywhere you look, you got, you know, Franklin Gomez around, Olympian and world medalist, and they just had everywhere you looked. And now, for Oklahoma State, you've got Dayton Fix, but who do they really have to look to, you know, that can say, hey, man, this is how you do it. This is what the drive and dedication looks like. This is what it looks like at that level. And that can be inspirational. I think that can really have an effect on the team. And I think David is, you guys all saw it at the press conference, right? This is not a guy who makes decisions on a whim. He is calculated. He is strategic. And I think there's ultimately a lot of positives that can be ascertained for the team just by watching him go through the process and making this team potentially and going on to win a world title or another world medal. That's what's in David's mind. We think about the negatives, right? Oh, what if he doesn't wrestle well, and then everyone sees that? What if he goes to the Worlds and loses? But I think at this level, and a lot of things you hear about some of the guys out of the Penn State room, that almost the negatives is no, they operate in the positive. David thinks he's going to make the team, and I agree with him. I mean, to me, David Taylor is the favorite here, right? And I think if he makes a team, I like his chances against Sadulaev. But we don't know. We need to see what David Taylor looks like, because the version we saw at State College in April didn't look like the David Taylor that any of us were used to watching wrestle. So now I'm excited that we're going to get another chance to watch him scrap, and against a really tough field. And, you know, you've got Trent Hidley in the mix, right? Everyone knows how tough he is up at 92. You've got Mike Mock. You've got Pat Downey. Is that match going to happen? That match, you remember, if you remember, back in 2020, that match was supposed to happen. All the trash talk, all the back and forth, and then the match didn't happen. And believe me, both these guys want this match. I know David Taylor, he's not going to be anything but excited for the opportunity to wrestle Pat Downey. I think probably the feeling's mutual for Pat. So we could potentially see that match, and that would be, you know, obviously incredible. But you also got Mike Mock, and you got Eric Schultz, and you got these young up-and-comers, Aiden Sinclair, Connor Marasola. That's just to get to Zahid Valencia. That's who's in the field. So no small task, and he's going to wrestle Saturday and Sunday, so we have two days potentially of wrestling. This is huge international wrestling news, and the fact that this weekend we get to watch Jordan Burroughs at 79 and David Taylor wrestle at 92. What an absolute treat, and can't wait to watch it go down. I think it's a move that makes a lot of sense for David. I hope I get a chance to talk to him about it. I want to hear, hey, how did this come to be? What really flipped it in your mind? And we've seen coaches do this in the past, and debatably two of the greatest coaches of all time have done this. John Smith, at the tail end of his competitive career, I believe, he was wrestling, and then while coaching Oklahoma State, and then of course Cael Sanderson famously did it in 2011 after they won their first national title. So I'm really excited to watch David. I'm sure you are as well. It's going to be a long road to get there. And don't forget, Zahid Valencia, those two wrestled at Final X, right, in 2022. And Zahid was right there in match one. And Zahid, I think, even had the lead for a portion of time. And then David got a late score and was able to win. And then David blew him out in that second match. But then what did we see in April? Zahid Valencia all but beat Aaron Brooks. He was a singlet pull away from beating Aaron Brooks. So now you have to also assume that Zahid has jumped levels, because he really challenged Aaron, and we saw how Aaron did against David Taylor. So, I mean, there's so much intrigue, there's so much excitement, so much drama. I cannot wait to watch. I can't wait to get to Omaha. I'm flying tomorrow. Going to get there, hopefully get a chance to talk with some of these guys. I hope you will watch. It's going to go down Saturday, Sunday, live on FloWrestling. You can watch every match, all of David Taylor's matches, all of Jordan Burroughs' matches, Dayton Fix, Vito Arujau. It's going to be an amazing weekend of wrestling, and I can't wait to watch David scrap at 92.